Let's now create some sort of a weapon inventory for the player and check if the player already has the weapon. Because what I'm trying to do is if the player interacts with the weapon, it needs to check if the player already has the weapon or not. And if the player has the weapon already, they can't loot the weapon. So it's only going to loot the rifle if they don't have a rifle already. And they're going to loot the pistol if they don't have a pistol already. So let's go ahead in the player base. And inside of here, let's click on the plus. I'm going to make a new variable called weapon inventory. And here for the type, we just search for the weapon type because, or the weapon base, because we need to add the weapons to that inventory. So they need to be the type of weapon base. And go ahead and select the object reference. Now, since it is an inventory, now let me just go ahead and click on the X here. Since it is an inventory, we have to change it from a single variable to an array. Remember, an array is just like a box where you add stuff to it. So we have to add the different weapons that you have looted. So you can see if I click on the plus now, I can select. Here I can't select because it is the parent class and we can't really just add stuff here automatically. But you can see here that you can add the rifle and the pistol during gameplay. So you can add multiple weapons inside of this inventory. But for us, we want to add, for example, a rifle and a pistol, and you can have a shotgun and so on for your game. But for now, we just have the rifle and the pistol. So go ahead and just delete it for now. This was just for example. Let's go back to the player base. And now from the player base, since we already have the reference, we can drag from here and search weapon inventory, and we can get that array. Now for this array, we want to loop through this whole inventory and check if the player has a rifle. So we can drag from here and say for each loop with break, and you can go ahead and select that. So now you can see the weapons through this pin. If you hold the mouse over it, now it is a single element. It's the BP weapon base. So it's going to take every single weapon inside of here and loop through the code, loop through this array, and you can do something with it. Now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to check if the player already has this weapon they are trying to interact with. So what we need to do is we need to take each of the weapons in the inventory. We need to drag from here and check their weapon type. Remember, you just made this one weapon type, so you can call it here because now it is looping through each of them. You're taking the weapon type and you're just asking here, dragging and saying equal if this weapon type inside of your inventory is equal to this weapon type that you are trying to loot, and we can make a branch. And if that is correct, then you can't loot the weapon. So we have to do it later on that you can't loot the weapon. However, if it is false, we can actually loot it. So this is how you do it. Now we need to make this one replicated because the client also needs to see this information, what type of weapon you have. So I'm going to select replicate it, go ahead and compile and save everything. And now you can see here, we're checking the weapon inventory. We're trying to check if the player has the weapon already. So we're taking the weapon type for the weapon inside of the inventory. And we're checking if this weapon type is equal with the one we are trying to loot. If that is correct, we can not loot the weapon because we already have the weapon in the inventory. If it is false, we can loot the weapon. Okay, so this one with break, we can use it later. I can explain what that means. But for now, we can now save everything and we can move on to the next lesson.